What's going on, everybody? Crypto Headquarters here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the cryptocurrency known as Aelf, why Aelf has been exploding in price, and the news, updates, and announcements that have contributed to this exponential rise in price these past few days. So we're going to be talking about all of that and more in today's video, but first and foremost, I want to jump in the disclaimer of today's video, which states, none of the information in this video is investment or financial advice. This is just simply my personal opinion. Please do your own research before investing. Invest at your own risk. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, and consult a financial advisor if necessary. As for transparency purposes, I am not invested in Aelf and don't hold Aelf in my portfolio at the time of making today's video. But with all of that said, let's jump into it. As many of you guys know, Aelf is one of the cryptocurrencies that has been performing very well these past few days. And this is in light of the recent news that Aelf is launching its mainnet ahead of schedule, and many people speculate it's going to come out sometime in April. I'm going to be explaining that more as the video goes on, as well as why that's important. But for now, we can see that Aelf saw this increase in price coming on April 10th. On April 9th, Aelf saw a bit of a dip down to 58 to 60 cents before it saw a massive price increase to 70, 80 cents, and then even to a recent high at 92 cents on April 11th. Right now, Aelf is trending around the 86-cent mark. However, it is important to note that Aelf has nearly doubled its overall price within a matter of days here with this huge announcement. So it's going to be interesting to see if Aelf can hold this and how long this news is going to contribute to increasing its price. However, nonetheless, it is some pretty cool news, and I'm going to begin explaining what that news is in regards to the mainnet and why it's important. The article that I'm going to be using to outline the rest of today's video can be found over on thecryptoglobalist.com. The article is titled Aelf to regain $1 with the launch of its mainnet this April. This was published 1 hour ago as of recording this video on April 11, 2018 by DEPY Crypto. This will be linked down in the description down below for those of you guys who are interested. Before I completely jump into the topic of today's video, I do want to mention that yesterday on my channel, I released a beginner's guide to the Aelf project where I talk about the Aelf blockchain project from top to bottom, hitting all the critical points. So for anybody who's interested about the Aelf project, make sure to check out that video because I do think that could be potentially insightful and helpful to your own research. So let's jump into the stuff that we want to talk about today in regards to the price of Aelf and this recent mainnet announcement launch. So the price of Aelf has nearly doubled in the past few days, leaving many to question what's contributing to the massive increase in valuation amidst the current bear market. The answer is actually quite simple and has to do with the recent news regarding the announcement of Aelf's mainnet. Aelf is the third coin to announce its mainnet launch in the month of April, and the other recent two coins to announce a mainnet launch were Golem and Skycoin. Announcements like these increase the value of a coin exponentially and can be seen based upon the stark increases in price between these three cryptocurrencies. CEO and founder Chen Zuling announced the mainnet launch, stating it will launch very soon. While he didn't give a specific date, many have speculated it's going to come out in April. However, no matter the date, this is welcome news for everybody in the Aelf community, considering the mainnet scheduled release was sometime in May. So Aelf is ahead of schedule, something that isn't often said in the space of cryptocurrency and blockchain, and while the announcement of the mainnet is coming sometime later this month, many investors have been jumping in before Aelf hits the psychological marker that is $1. According to data from CoinMarketCap.com, Aelf hit an all-time high of around $2, and 72 cents during the early January altcoin bull run before dropping in price and overall market cap to the range of 50 to 60 cents moving into the month of April before the news announcement of the launch of the Aelf mainnet. So as we can see, this news and announcement that is the Aelf mainnet has contributed very much to the increase in price of Aelf, as many people get excited for this pretty big development in any blockchain company, as the mainnet launch signals that a few things that we're going to talk about later in the video, but to jump into those a little bit early, it gives credibility and shows that they have a working product, at least to some extent. So some pretty big news here for Aelf, which has a lot of people excited about the future of the Aelf project, which has increased the price of the Aelf coin. Now we're going to begin talking about arguably the most important section of today's video, which is why the mainnet is big news and why you should care. So first and foremost, this is important especially for anybody who is interested in Aelf, because this should be helpful in understanding what's contributing to the price increase and why. Secondly, the launch of the mainnet is pretty big news in and of itself. For those of you guys who aren't familiar with a mainnet, much less a testnet, please let me explain. A testnet comes before a mainnet and is essentially a sandbox for developers to test various concepts on the network before it actually goes live. The testnet allows for developers to find and fix bugs and test anything they need to without any negative repercussions on the blockchain or network because the network is not officially live yet. Think of a testnet as a beta test before the final product. Following the testnet is the release of the mainnet, where the actual network and blockchain go live. This is usually a huge step for a blockchain project, as it illustrates the project is on track, has a working product, and is moving towards real-world adoption and use, depending on what the project's goals may be. In the case of Aelf, Aelf's testnet went live on March 31st, so fairly recently, and the news of the mainnet has launched the price of Aelf. With the announcement of the launch of the mainnet, Aelf has shown the cryptocurrency community its credibility by launching, or at least announcing in this case, its mainnet. This proves the project is not a scam and has a working product. Additionally, Aelf is ahead of schedule and development, allowing other projects to build their blockchains on top of Aelf, the ecosystem, as opposed to the ERC20 token standard that currently is Ethereum. Ethereum is getting slower and is seeing increased congestion on the network for various reasons, prompting projects to look elsewhere. Aelf's pre-developed blockchain allows for people with very little knowledge of coding to create their own blockchain, something that could give Aelf a leg up in the space, especially when you consider they are competing with industry giants like Ethereum and Neo. Aelf offers advantages with their sidechain technology and parallel processing that decreases network congestion from the likes of token sales, but keep in mind the project is still very much in its infancy as it's only just releasing its mainnet. Even though Aelf is ahead of schedule on its roadmap and it's moving forward at a brisk pace, keep in mind that it is competing against the likes of Ethereum and Neo, industry giants within cryptocurrency that are very much progressed within their roadmap and their overall project. But nonetheless, I'm still very optimistic on the future of Aelf, and I do believe that this project is putting itself in a position for success in the future. So Aelf is making positive strides to achieve its goals set out on its roadmap and is ahead of schedule, and the price of Aelf is certainly reflecting this. More information will come on the launch of the mainnet, in which we will see if it lives up to its expectations. Not that I have any doubts, but we will have to wait and see. Aelf is a project that will be keeping a close eye on in the coming weeks, as I am optimistic for this project's future. To give my final thoughts and opinions on Aelf, Aelf is a project that I've only recently begun researching within the past few weeks and the past month, and so far I'm very pleasantly surprised with what I found out. I think overall the project's idea is great. I like what they're doing here. Obviously, they have kind of an uphill battle based upon what they're trying to do within blockchain. However, for the most part, I do think they are putting themselves in a position where they can be successful. As it's mentioned in the article, the launch of the mainnet will only serve as a boost to see the coin surpass the $2.71 mark. As for my opinion on that, I think we still have to understand a few things. I don't think Aelf is going to hit that $2.71, $2.72 price point that we saw in early January, and that's due to a few things. One, we still have to consider that we're in a very, very bearish market right now. No cryptocurrencies, at least those who did participate in the January altcoin bull run. By participate, I mean that hit those all-time highs that we saw at that point in time. None of those cryptocurrencies, at least within the top 100, have even seen close to that price point that they saw then. Additionally, within this bear market, it's hard for any cryptocurrency to gain a ton of traction. Obviously, we've seen with other cryptocurrencies such as Tron and their mainnet that there was a lot of hype going into that. However, they weren't able to sustain the price that they saw going into that news announcement. So for the cryptocurrency Aelf, I will be interested to see if we are able to sustain the price point that we're at now, around 90 cents, if we're going to go higher. Obviously, a lot of people buy the rumor and sell the news, meaning that they buy all of this, they buy the hype up to it, and then they sell when they believe they got to a top and they can get a significant profit off of that, leaving Aelf to fall to the price points that it was at before. Obviously, all of this is just my personal opinion and is not financial or investment advice. However, I am optimistic about the Aelf project moving forward here, and it will be interesting to see if Aelf can potentially find support at the price point that it's seeing right now between 80 and 90 cents, or even if it will go further. Again, to conclude, I do think that $2.72, its all-time high, will not be achieved, or really close to that at all by this mainnet launch, but who knows, I could be wrong. This is cryptocurrency, it's as volatile as it gets. Who knows what could happen, but this is just kind of my opinion. So hopefully you guys value my thoughts. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'm going to cut to the outro. That's going to do it for the video today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Hopefully you guys learned something about the Aelf mainnet launch and how that's contributed to the increase in price of the Aelf token. Additionally, I just will say that I think that was a bit of a ridiculous remark on that article that I used in today's video. I think the mainnet is some huge news and is definitely a giant step forward for Aelf, but you take into all the factors factors and considerations I mentioned in those final thoughts section of the video, and then you take into consideration that as big of a news as a mainnet launch is, especially ahead of schedule, I don't think it's enough to propel Aelf to its previous all-time highs, but will be interesting to see if that is true or not. Again, this is not investment or financial advice. This is just simply my personal opinion. Please do your own research before investing. Invest at your own risk. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, and consult a financial advisor if necessary. As for transparency purposes, I am not invested into and do not hold Aelf in my portfolio at the time of making this video. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. We're moving forward to 2,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for the overwhelming amount of support on the channel. You guys are the best. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.